Hey there, in this video I'm going to show you how to integrate your lead form into Webflow as either a pop-up or embedded form. So let's get into it. Here is the lead form that I'm going to be embedding into Webflow. This is a multi-step form that I just pulled out of the lead forms template area. Here is a Webflow page that I quickly got set up. This is just one of their standard templates. There's nothing special about it. And then here's my Webflow account, or my Webflow designer. So there's a number of steps we need to take to get the lead form set up in Webflow, and it's pretty simple. Let's start out with the lead forms pixel script. So the very first thing we're going to need to do is go into publish, go to pixel script, and the pixel script is always going to be the same for your account for all forms. Copy code, jump back into Webflow, and now let's go to the project settings section of your Webflow website. Now, to integrate the pixel script, go to custom code, and you're going to need to have a paid Webflow account. Go to head code and paste the pixel script right into your head code and click save. And if you would like to check to make sure that it is installed properly, you can refresh your page. And then if you're using Chrome, you can go to Control, Inspect, Sources, and look for something called api.useleadbot.com. That is the domain that hosts our pixel script. It's an old domain that we used to use from back in the day. So that's how you know that the pixel script is installed properly. In the future, we'll build something into the platform to notify you if it's set up properly. But for now, that's a quick way to check. So now that the pixel script is installed, the next thing to do is determine how you want to embed or how you want to integrate the lead form into your Webflow page. So you can either embed the form or have it pop up. And when it comes to pop-up, you can have it be a time pop-up, you can have it pop up as somebody's leaving the site, or a click pop-up. Let's start with an embedded form because this is probably the most common. So to embed the lead form, simply click on Embed Lead Form and either grab this div ID right here, or you can take the class. If you're planning to have the form pop up on multiple spots in the same page, use the class. In this case, I'm just going to take div ID leadforms-embed form. I copied that. I'll jump back into Webflow. Now I'm going to go into the Webflow page. I'll go to Designer, and we'll wait for this to load. And for this, you're going to need to be on a paid plan to install a custom piece of code into Webflow. Click on the little plus right up here, and then look for a widget called Embed. And this is going to allow you to embed a little piece of code, and you can choose where you want this to be within the page. Let's just say that, I don't know, I'm just going to put it right here. And then this will open up a custom code box. So I'm going to take either the ID or the class that I copied here, and I'm just going to paste it right into Webflow. Ignore this caution sign, click Save, publish the page, and then while the page is publishing, there's just one more thing we need to do. Go back to your Webflow domain. So in this case, I just have my test domain set up on a Webflow domain. And we need to add the landing page URL into GetLeadForms as a target page. You'll see I already had it there. I'll click Show on all subpages just in case, and I'll click Save. So we have the pixel script installed, we have the target page set, and we have the form embedded onto Webflow. So let's see if that published. It says it published successfully. Make sure it says that. And then we'll load the page, and the form should load. So there it is. Now obviously this is really bad looking. What you would want to do is make sure the form matches your site. So I would probably do something like get rid of this big giant white background, update the buttons. And now if I click through, you'll see that this is a standard multi-step form that's working in Webflow. So let's say that you wanted to put the form on your work page or on another page. In this case, we'll just say it's this work page. I'll click on the work page. and it looks like it's test-leadforms.webflow.io/projects. So if I wanted to embed the lead form here, you would pretty much follow the same steps. So we would go to the work. So we would go to the work page, wherever that is in Webflow. I'm actually not that familiar with Webflow. I'm more of a WordPress user. You would essentially find that page, add your embed code, and then you would want to set the work page as a URL in the target page section. So I would simply come in to this projects section, and I would paste the URL right in here and click save. And now the same embedded form can work both on this main page and this page called projects. But a key thing is to make sure you take the embed code and add it to the projects page. So that's how that works. That's how embedding the form works. Now let's take a look at adding the lead form as a pop-up inside of Webflow. We'll go back to the main page. I'm going to get rid of the work page. So the first thing you need to do is go on over to settings, and again, this is if you're adding the form as a pop-up. So go to settings, form mode. You'll see it's in embedded. Make sure it's in pop-up mode. And when you flip the form into pop-up mode, you're going to get a new setting here called pop-up behavior. And this is where you can determine how you want the form to pop up on your page. And you have control right down to the mobile view. Click save. I'm just going to keep all the pop-up settings the same. Go back on over to publish. Make sure that your Webflow page is set, the target page where you want the form to pop up. And then what we're going to do is simply jump on over into the Webflow landing page builder. We'll go to the HTML script that I embedded into the page, or the HTML field that I embedded into the page, and remove that because we don't need it. And then I'll just republish it. So I removed that div ID for the embed form. I flipped the form into pop-up mode inside of GetLeadForms in settings/pop-up mode. And now the form should work as a pop-up form. So if I go to leave the page, the form is going to pop up just like that. Now, obviously you would want to update the design of the form. This isn't the best looking form, but you'll see that it's working in pop-up mode. You will also see that there's this little on-site message widget that pops up in the right-hand corner. It could also pop up on the left. This is something you could disable inside of GetLeadForms if you do not want it to show, and you can click on it and have the form pop up. Now, one more thing, let's take a look at how to open a form on a click pop. So let's say you want to learn more to trigger the form and have it pop open. There's a couple of settings you can configure inside of Webflow. So let's take a closer look at that. So I'll jump into the Webflow designer. Now, just as a quick recap, when we embedded the form, we needed to have the settings set to form mode embed. We needed to have the target page set right here. And we also needed to include this div ID. But then when we chose to have the form open as a pop-up form, all we needed here was to have the form mode set to pop up. And there was nothing additional that needed to be done in terms of adding code to your Webflow page. The only other thing was just to make sure that your page is set as a target page. Now, if you would like to open the form at the click of a button, there is one more step. So again, go into settings, make sure the form mode is set to pop up. Make sure your pixel script is installed on the page. Make sure your target page is set to wherever the form is going to pop up. And then go to trigger with button click. And what you're going to essentially do here is take this class, leadforms-trigger-el, copy this, go into Webflow, click on the CTA button. So I'll click right here in this white space. Then this is going to open up this right-hand panel. You're going to see selector, paste in that class that I just shared, hit enter, and it should turn blue. Now the selector is working, and this essentially added a class to the button, which is going to enable the button to trigger the form when clicked. Also, make sure that the URL points to a hash sign. So click settings, click on this little link icon instead of # here. Click publish to selected domains. You're just going to wait for this to publish, and then we'll test it. So I'll reload the page. The form has loaded. I'll click learn more, and the form has opened up. Now you'll see that it's not going to open up when I click contact us because I didn't add the form to that contact us button. I only added it to learn more. So that's how you go about adding the form as a pop-up. And if you wanted the form to pop up on, let's say, the team page, it would just be a matter of going to the URL of the team page and making sure you have it set as a target page inside of GetLeadForms. So hopefully that helps. That's how you add the form as either an embedded form, a pop-up form, or a click pop. If you run into any problems or if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out. We are always happy to help. Thank you very much.